Thank you for having me. My name is Francis Mutugi Njogu. Most of my friends call me Frank. Today, I would like to cover a topic I feel is very close to my heart. We'll be talking about youth, money, and investment. The reason I chose this topic is because, first of all, we are taken through the school system, but we are never given proper life skills. We are never told how to manage money. We are never told how to deal with money, how to grow it, how to attain it. And we'll be covering some of those topics as we try to encourage the youth to focus on what they need to do to get to where they need to be. So I've broken down this topic in a few segments. First of all, we'll talk about focus and visualization. Then we'll talk about friendship and alignment to dreams and goals. Then we'll talk about retirement and management. Then we'll talk about family and its integration to the entire dream. And lastly, we'll talk about travel and where it fits into the whole picture. So let's first start with focus and visualization. This is where we begin. So everything starts from somewhere. A line starts from a dot. An idea starts from a dream. And from that, you grow it to where you need it to be. So the first thing we need to talk about is the attitude and mentality of the youth towards where they need to be, towards where they need to achieve, what they need to achieve, towards education, towards life in general. In recent times, I've been dealing with the youth or just interacting with the youth, and I realized that we have a massive attitude problem in the sense that most of us don't really know what we want from this life. Most of us don't really know where they need to be in 5 years, where they need to be in 10 years, where they need to be in 20 years. Most of us, they only think about tomorrow and don't think about the day after tomorrow. So today, we would like to focus on habits. As far as focus and visualization are concerned, habits come in very strongly. Habits are built over time. This is where if you're used to waking up at 7, at some point you don't even need an alarm to wake you up at 7. This is where you have to maximize. You're given only 24 hours a day, and you have to maximize all that time to make yourself as productive as possible, while also making sure you're taking care of your well-being. As far as habits are concerned, I will focus on two things, namely time management and procrastination. I'm sure most of us have been victims of procrastination over and over again. Procrastination is where you are supposed to do a task today or at a certain period of time during the day, and then you just decide to postpone it the next time. Now, as youth, we tend to think we have a lot of time, yet we don't. Remember, we have a very short period of time to achieve very many goals. And thinking as an African, being an African man, you also know that you have responsibilities way beyond what you are supposed to have. For example, you have your rent, you have your daily expenses, you have all that. You have to take care of yourself, you have to eat, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to integrate with friends. All these things cost money. All these things take up your time. But also, at the end of the day, you also have responsibilities on the other end, namely extended family. You have to send money home, you have to take care of your siblings, you have to do this and that. If you do not manage your time properly, you might end up gassing yourself out. As far as time management is concerned, I like to think of it like this. If you can spend a whole night watching a movie, if you can sit up all night watching a movie, why wouldn't you do the same looking for money? It becomes a bit interesting because most of our youth nowadays are very much embedded into get-rich schemes. They don't want to work for their money. They don't want to do what it takes to get to where they want to be. And this is where now the information comes in. One, you need to focus on what you want. You need to focus. You need to know what you want. For example, if you wanted to be a teacher and you wanted to major in literature, and at the end of the day, you wanted to write a book at some point, you align your vision to look towards where you're headed, what you want to do. So for example, if you want to be a teacher and you want to major in literature, and at the end of the day, you want to write a book, you have some time to build your knowledge base. By this, I mean you need to read other works of literature by people and pick out what you think will be effective for you, for your style, for how you think you need to put your message across. These things take time. And for you to be able to do all this and also manage a job and also do whatever you need to do to survive, you need to come up with proper time management skills. Procrastination has been affecting the youth, mostly in the job market. Procrastination is, like I said, you have a task, you need to achieve it by 7, but then you think, I will begin the task at 6 and 1 hour will be enough. You forget that you have to do background research. You have to make sure that your work covers all the bases. If we can fight procrastination, then mostly we'll develop a very efficient workforce as the youth. Remember, like I said, you have a very short period of time to do lots of things and to achieve what you need to do. Because, one, we are not getting any younger. The older you get, the less, the weaker you get, so to say. So if you do not manage your time properly, then at the end of the day, you'll end up doing things you're supposed to do in your 30s when you're in your 50s. Another problem I find with the youth, especially nowadays, is that we do not do enough to invest in knowledge. Now, knowledge is king. Knowledge is power, and when you have it, you're powerful. Improving your knowledge base is very important. Why? Because one, we live in a world where connections are everything. If there's one thing I've learned about surviving in the business environment in Nairobi is that connections are not about what you can get from someone, but rather what you can offer someone. For example, if you want to consider yourself, if you want to consider me your connection, for example, there has to be something you bring to the table. It can't be that every time you call me and I come through for you, but then you can never bring anything to the table. It's more of a give and take relationship. Now, the only way you can achieve some of these things is if you invest in knowledge. If you invest in knowledge, then you will be knowledgeable in several fields. Now, there are two things we need to understand. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. I read a very interesting quote recently that says, knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Now, applying knowledge you have gained over time is a whole different ballgame. Now, once you understand that you need to use the knowledge you have to help you get ahead in life, then once you understand that you need to use the knowledge that you've amassed over time to help you get to where you need to be, to help you develop the kind of connections you need to develop. Once you learn that, then it becomes easier for you to build connections. It becomes easier for you to build a circle of trust, a circle of business acumen. It becomes easier for you to just walk into a bank and say, I need financing, because you have your facts right. Okay? It becomes easier for you to approach an investor and say, look, this is what I'm working with. If I can do this and that and that, in a period of 3 years, I can make back your money. In a period of 5 years, I can make back your money. Now, as youth, we need to invest in knowledge. We need to read widely. If we can just separate our time from the amount of time we spend for entertainment and just also focus on developing our knowledge base. Learn as many things as possible. It becomes easier for us to just get ahead in the business world. Not only in the business world, also in employment. Now, my talk will cover two groups of people, the employed and those in business. because the rules are similar but can be different depending on what you want to achieve. For example, for a person looking to build a business, has totally different, will have a totally different approach from someone who joins an organization as an intern and wants to grow to the CEO. The business environment in Nairobi is a bit different. Not just say in Africa, it's a bit different from what we're used to. The things we are used to are the things we learn in school. Can be applied, but also you have to adjust them to fit whoever you need to be your target audience. As far as focus and visualization are concerned, when we were learning in high school, I remember I did geography till Form 2, but we studied a topic about photography. So for a photographer, the picture has to cover several bases. One, it has to cover the front, the immediate front. It has to cover depth. It has to cover the background. And this is how we need to look at life in general. Because you need to think ahead. You need to think 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I will give you a very good example. If, for example, you have a salary of 30,000 shillings now, and that salary is not enough for you as an individual, what makes you think that the salary of 30,000 shillings will be enough for you, a wife, and a child? With that in mind, you need to focus and look at what lies ahead. How can you improve yourself to increase these 30,000 shillings to 80,000 shillings by the time you get a wife and a child? These are some of the things we are looking at now. But also a huge advantage I have had personally in life is understanding myself. Understanding who you are, what makes you tick, what the different kinks you have as a human being. Because at the end of the day, we are human beings, we are social animals. And actually every human interaction is mostly interhuman, which means you have to interact with people. When you go to buy something at the shop, you have to interact with someone there. When you're working in your work environment, you have to interact with someone there. When you're doing your business, you have to interact with your customers. But the only way you can do that effectively is if you understand yourself. For example, I come from a long line of hot-tempered people, right? But I understood that at a very early age, and from then I was working towards trying to dilute some of this hot temper, because otherwise I wouldn't thrive in a business environment. Remember, we have different backgrounds. We were brought up in different environments. We were brought up in different places. The same way when it comes to finding a partner, we find partners who are brought up in different places, yet we have to coexist and make it work. The same thing happens in business and even in the work environment. So you need to invest in learning yourself as an individual. You need to understand how you operate. If you are a morning person, focus on that. Wake up early, do whatever you need to do during the day. By the time it gets to a point where you're worn out, then you've achieved most of what you need to achieve. You need also to do a survey at the end of the day and see what have you achieved during that day, okay? What have you achieved during that week? What have you achieved during that month, during that year? And I always advocate for something called realistic goals. It's a very simple concept, yeah? It's a realistic goal. There's no way you find a job today, you're getting paid 30,000 shillings, yet you want to own a Mercedes in a year. It's not a realistic goal, right? There's no way you can sink in 300,000 cash in capital for a business. Yet you want this business, this same business, to give you $1 million in profit within a month. That's not a realistic goal. And this is where you find greed comes in, right? And when greed comes in, then you become vulnerable, because when you're greedy, it's easy for people to just take advantage of you. And that's how people get conned in the business world. Now, just to sum up all that, right? We are talking about time management as far as the youth are concerned. Investing in yourself. This is where the focus and the visualization of what you want to be comes in. Because at the end of the day, we all want to live a comfortable life, but we also have personal goals that we want to achieve within a stipulated period of time. We also talked about investing in knowledge. Invest in knowledge. Build yourself. Water your mind. Feed. your persona. Learn. That way, it becomes easy even to hold conversations with people. You go to a place where the doctor is seated and you can hold an effective conversation with them. Eventually, they'll ask for your number, and then that's how you gain connections. Understanding who you are, right? And part of understanding who you are is understanding your past, your present, and your future. Understanding yourself as a person, as an individual, and understanding yourself in a group dynamic. 2, I will talk about friendship and alignment to dreams and goals. Now, this is a very interesting topic to me because, like I said, we were never taught some of these things, right? We were told some of these things vaguely in school, and we were told, look, bad character ruins good morals, and bad character does this. And if you focus with the wrong friends, you will achieve the wrong things. But we never took it seriously, and these things are coming to pass as we speak. Now, I focus on Nairobi because Nairobi is, well, I've stayed in Nairobi for most of my adult life. There's a lot of fake friendship in Nairobi. And this is something I came to realize over time, because mostly friendships in Nairobi, well, as friendships should be, are about convenience, right? But also, it gets to a point where it becomes a non-symbiotic relationship. This is where you're not benefiting from being friends with someone. You're friends with someone, but you look at the value of that friendship and you can't really come up with the value of that friendship. I've learned to understand things in the sense that something has to make sense. It has to make sense. For example, there's no way you can come to me and tell me, I give you 1,000 shillings and you'll sell me a gold bar. It doesn't make sense. It has to make sense. There's no way you can come to me and tell me, look, I have a friend who's going to the US. He has a piece of land worth 1,000,000 shillings, but he's willing to let it go for 500,000 because he's in a rush. That doesn't make sense. Why doesn't your friend just take the title deed to the bank and get some money from it? It has to make sense. Ask yourself certain questions. Now, friendships and how they align to your dreams and your goals. Like I said, we have already focused. We have ideas. We are focused on achieving those ideas. We have visualized what the future looks like, right? Now, are these friends of yours friendly to your goal? Are they friendly to your dreams? Are they helping you achieve what you need to achieve? Or are they drawing you back? Very good example. Right now, we are going through a global pandemic. This is as best a time for friends to be there for each other, right? But most of us have lost our jobs. Most of us are closing down businesses. Most of us are doing this, are doing that, right? And this is where the individualistic mentality comes in, because you're looking for your survival. But is it possible for you and your friends to sit down and work together, pull together the amount of money you have saved over time, right? And do something meaningful with it? Because many people are making money from this pandemic as well. So if you can take advantage of it, is it possible for your friends to share the same vision as you, to put money together and work towards a realistic goal? These are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves when we are young, because at the end of the day, like I said, we have a very short period of time. We cannot spend all this time wasting it on the wrong people, right? Because friendship is about investment. You invest your time, you invest your money, you invest a lot of things in friendship. But you need to ask yourself, like I said, it needs to make sense. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Right? We are living in very interesting times. This is where we see competition amongst friends. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing. It could be a good thing. But we also have unhealthy competition. This is where once your friend sees you bought something good, they want to buy something better, okay? But the way they get to it is where the question is, right? So they will easily steal whatever good you have bought, sell it, so they can top it up, yeah? And buy something better, so that they can come back and tell you, look, where is yours? This is mine, where is yours? This is unhealthy competition. There can be healthy competition. This is where you look at your friend and think, he's been able to build a house in 1 year of being at work. What has he done that I am not doing, right? And this is where competition, healthy competition comes in. And this is how you build a wealth base. Because at the end of the day, unity is strength. I like telling people, a fist will punch you and you'll be effective. But a finger will not do the same. And you only get a fist once you put fingers together, right? Now, challenging each other as friends. This is very important because we live in a world where most people, they don't want to stay in a especially young people. We want to stay in a group dynamic where we are at the top, you know. You want to feel like you're at the top of the food chain. You're better than everyone. But it's not about that. It's about growing together, challenging each other to reach greater heights. And this is where you need to ask your friends, yourself, are my friends encouraging me? Are they challenging me to go to the next level of life? Because think about it. If, for example, you live off the top of my head in Kasarani, right? You always pay your rent on time. Your fridge is always stocked. You're driving a good car. You think that's the best that life has to offer, right? But once you have a friend who lives in a different suburb, who owns his own house, who's not paying rent, then you become challenged to learn how did he get there, and that's how you also grow, right? But if you just stay, you just maintain the status quo, then you end up achieving nothing, and at the end of the day, you retire with nothing. My next point about friendship and alignment to dreams and goals is helping each other grow, right? This is where we talk about connection. Because when we are starting out, we are not much. But over time, we grow into certain characters that are actually formidable in the society. But also, you need to establish your value in that group dynamic, right? Usikue wewe ni mzigo tu. So you need to establish your value even in that group dynamic. You need to know what you bring to the table. For example, if I have a project right now, that I need a developer, I need a sound guy, I need this, I need that. If I have a group dynamic where all these people exist, then you will save us a lot of money other than looking for these skills outside. And this is how we help each other grow. But also, part of helping each other grow is investing in other people. Invest in other people. Invest in your relationship with other people. Invest your time, invest your money, invest your effort. Just showing up for your friends, right? But at the end of the day, they need to be quality friends that you actually see yourself growing together. So we go to point number 3. This is retirement and money management. Now, this is where I want to dwell most, because I feel like our generation will have some of the most poorest retirees. Why? Because our spending patterns are very poor. We have no respect for money. I used to see my parents with a salary of about 25,000 Kenya shillings per month, yet they would achieve so many things with that, while at the same time educating us and making sure that we have our basic needs. Money management comes in where we know we have a short period of time to achieve a lot. For example, right now I am 29 years old. If we were to look at retirement age right now is at 55, 60. So I have about 30 years to do the most of what I can. But from there, I don't know how far my life will go. So I will have another about 20 years of just dormancy. So you need to build enough wealth to sustain you in your heydays. And this is where you find problems where, like I said, as an African man, you have to take care of a whole society, because people at, their prime, they never took time to build wealth that will sustain them even in their retirement time. I have had retirees come to me and ask for jobs as drivers. These are people who are very respected members of their society. But then they took loans and did nothing with them, and their pension is going to paying loans that they cannot trace where the money went. This is where money management comes in. And the only way you can money manage effectively, you can manage your money effectively, is taking care of your recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is the amount of money you spend every month. If you have bills, you have to pay them every month. If you have employees, you have to pay them every month. This is recurrent expenditure. If only you can lower your recurrent expenditure, then you can improve your wealth base in the sense that you'll have a pool for investing. Most young people are living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's why COVID has really put things in perspective, in the sense that now the paycheck has been taken away. You are living from paycheck to paycheck. You don't have savings, you don't have anything, you don't have a cushion, you don't have anything to fall back to. But if you had an investment, if you were putting a small amount of money aside and saying, I will buy a piece of land with this, then you could just grab that piece of land and sell it, and it will save you whatever financial troubles you're going through. This is where we also talk about debt. Now, most people don't understand debt, but I'll break it down into two. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt is where you take money for investment purposes. This money, you're planning to grow it, in the sense that even as you pay back your debt, you still have a profit you're being left with. And at the end of the day, you'll have a running business, you'll have a running investment, you'll have something to bring money to your pocket. Now, bad debt is the kind of money you borrow to go drink. It's the kind of money you borrow to manage your recurrent expenditure. Because remember, look, you borrow from a bank, for example, or from these mobile phone apps, Tala branch, to pay your rent this month. Next month, you will not only have your rent, but you also have a loan to pay. But if you took this money and put it somewhere where in a month it will give you, say, 10, 20%, then at the end of the day, you'll have more money. As far as investing is concerned, there are modern and traditional investment methods. So modern methods are like, there's a lot of hype in cryptocurrency at the moment. Most young people are making their money through cryptocurrency. But we go back to building a knowledge base where you have to develop knowledge so that you can be able to invest effectively. There are traditional investment methods, these stocks, bonds, land, buildings, all that. There is a way you can integrate them in such a way that they become effective for you. They make money for you in the long term. And at the end of the day, you want to build as many streams of income so that by the time you retire, by the time you don't have enough energy to do some of these things you used to do when you were younger, then you have enough streams of income coming in. Then we also need to focus on our strengths and weaknesses. I like to give an example of, I personally, like I said, I have certain shortcomings as a human being. So I thrive in businesses that I control 100%. So if knowing that about myself, I go and buy a matatu, yet I have no control over the driver, I have no control over the conductor, I have no control over the SACCO, I have no control over the traffic cops, I have no control over government policy, then I will end up losing money. So you need to know your strengths and weaknesses. Focus on building wealth where your strengths are. Because if you don't, you might as well thrive, but you'll end up paying somebody to manage your business for you. And, sometimes reliability is also an issue in the job market. Raising and maintaining capital to build wealth. This is where I said you need to focus, you need to look at your earnings, look at your recurrent expenditure, and whatever is left, you try to grow whatever is left to where you have a pool that you can do something with it, right? Now, it's one thing to raise capital. It's another thing to maintain it. This is where proper money management mechanisms come in. You differentiate your needs and your wants. Do I need it or I just want it? That way, it becomes very easy for you to cut down on certain costs. For example, do I need to drink alcohol every day? You don't need to. Do I want to? Yes, I want to. Have I made enough money to enable me to do what I want to do? If the answer is no, then you know what to do. Calculated risk. You've built your knowledge base. After you've gained a lot of knowledge, after you've known what you need to do, then you calculate your risk, right? For example, you have 30,000 shillings now, and you feel like where your career is headed, in 3 months, you might need to chip from that 30,000 shillings to pay your rent. You make a calculated decision and decide, I will put this money somewhere where in 2 months it will have given me a certain profit. But if where you want to put your money and grow it will take 6 months, then it's no longer a calculated risk. It becomes a risky maneuver, extremely risky maneuver, because at the end of the day, when you need your money, you cannot access it. Same case. If you need to invest in, for example, you have a running business, right? And you go to a bank and say you want to fix deposit your money. What happens when your business needs extra capital? You cannot then go and break your fixed deposit agreement, because then you get no interest. So you need to understand some of these things, understand how the system works. That way you can make calculated risk. There's also something called the fear of missing out, or in an acronym, it's called FOMO. Fear of missing out is where you see someone has made a lot of money rearing quails, and you decide, since they're making a lot of money, you also go and do the same. Yet you have not researched, you have not understood what the market is for these things, how it goes about, where you'll get the food, how you'll build the housing, all those things. So fear of missing out. This is one thing that is really affecting the youth. And that is how people are losing a lot of money from con deals. Because you think, oh, so-and-so is doing wash. And you decide, I don't want to miss out on this. So all your hard-earned money, you go and put it there, and you end up losing money. And you're losing capital. This capital you've gained over time. You still have a short period of time to achieve a lot. So you need to manage your fear of missing out. You need to do your proper calculation. Do your proper due diligence before you jump into what they call a deal. Now, family and its integration to the entire dream. Family, in this sense, I will look at the extended family, 1. 2, I will look at your nuclear family. As you grow older, it gets to a point where you start a family for yourself. You need to integrate your vision with most of your family members. That way, it becomes easier for you to move forward. It becomes easier for the business to move forward, whether you're there or you're not. And this is where you find some families, once the patriarch of the family or the matriarch of the family passes away, God forbid, the business dies out because they had not integrated their vision with the family unit. Now, as far as extended family is concerned, like I said, as African men, we are, I call it the curse of the African man, or the curse of the African, where you have to take care of everyone, right? What you don't realize is that as you continue taking care of everyone, this little money you send them, 2,000 here, 3,000 there, at the end of the year, it amounts to a lot of money. You're taking away from money you could have pulled somewhere and done something with it. So we need to manage this as much as possible. We need to align our vision with our family, nuclear family, and we also need to be very cautious, even as we are helping out our family members, extended family members. Like I said, it needs to make sense. It has to make sense. 5, travel and where it fits into the whole picture. Now, we are doing things differently as young people. People are embracing travel more than, our parents used to. Travel is good. It expands your worldview. It expands how you view the world. It exposes you to different opportunities. It exposes you to different ideas. For example, if you are to build a house, and the only place you've visited is Mombasa, chances are you'll only build a house similar to the ones you saw in Mombasa. But if you've traveled, if you've gone to Dubai and you've seen amazing architecture, then you will align your your vision or whatever you want to achieve whatever you saw there. And that's how you grow, right? So travel, there are ways, people are coming up with ways to travel. They can pull together as a group and just do cheap travel. There's local places you can visit. Travel expands your worldview in ways you cannot understand until you actually do it. Now, to sum up this entire talk, you need to understand yourself as an individual. You need to understand the people around you. You need to understand the environment you're working in, the environment you want to thrive in. You need to understand where you need to go with realistic periods of time, realistic goals. And once you do that, then you'll have no worries, you'll have no problem as far as retirement is concerned, and you will be able to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. I am Francis Mutugi Njogu, 29 years of age. I came to Nairobi in 2015. During that time, since then to now, I've achieved quite a bit. And I hope you have learned something from this talk, and I hope it will help catapult you to the next level of your life. Thank you very much.